Well, hello, this is Valerie with Light in My Pathway. And no, you can't see me right now, except my hands and my workspace. Um, I was asked by someone if I would consider showing how I make a card. So I'm going to attempt to do that. So bear with me. Um, and I'll show you what I have. What I'm going to start with is this stamp set. Well, actually, it's not. It is a set, sort of. It's just a kit that I used to get several of these. I used to get one a month, and then I decided to quit that for a while. But as you can see, there are several different stamps in here, and I'm needing some wedding cards for the market. And as you can see, there's some wedding stamps in here to do that. So I'm going to use some of those to create some cards. First, what I'll do is I will take out, I love these little containers that hold my stamps, and this just shows me what's in here so I don't have to try to figure out, because as you can see, it's hard to tell. You can kind of tell what the image looks like, but it's not the same looking at the rubber versus having it stamped on a piece of paper. And so what I think I'm going to do first is pull this couple that we saw here on the front, and I'm going to stamp it. So here's the stamp, and this little device right here is probably the best invention that's ever been made for stamp makers, or for card makers, or people that stamp with rubber stamps. Because well, anyway, if you're not familiar with stamping, it won't make any sense. So I'm not going to go into all that. But we'll grab some paper. And a lot of coloring I do is with alcohol markers. The ink is alcohol. And you have to have a certain kind of paper to use to color with those. And so I'm getting my special paper for that. So here's the image. I'm going to turn it upside down, because what I'm going to do is the lid right here. This is the lid. I'll move this down a little bit. And when I kind of press on it, this black, or that foam, sticks and holds the image right there. So if I don't get a good imprint the first time, I'll just show you. Here's my ink. I use Memento Tuxedo Black ink when I'm going to use my alcohol markers, yeah, my alcohol markers, my Copics. And so here I'm stamping the image. We're going to see how this, and I don't know if you can, well, actually I stamped it pretty good the first time, but let's just, for grins, if I didn't get a good image the first time, if all the lines didn't show up, then I could go back and ink the stamp again and rub on it. And look how detailed and refined that is. So this really is a very important part of my tools. One of my favorite tools for stamping. And once I'm done with that image, I wipe it off, wipe the ink off, try to keep my stamps clean, because if you use stamps repetitively and never clean them, they tend to sometimes get little fibers on them from the ink pad. I don't know if you can see, sometimes there's little fibers, or there just gets to be so much ink buildup that it doesn't make a good imprint. And I'm actually going to do, I shouldn't have cleaned my stamp so soon, because I knew I was going to stamp this again. I was talking and wasn't thinking through the process. So we're going to do this one more time, and I'm going to not ink it quite so good so you can see better what I mean. I need to move that. There we go. See how that didn't stamp very good? So we're going to go back, and we're going to ink a little bit more. But see, it's going to stamp in exactly the same spot because of this. If I were just trying to hand stamp it with a block like this already has a stamp on it, as you can see. But if I was trying to use a different block, if I were just hand stamping like this, I could not. I've tried. I could not put the stamp in exactly the same spot. And if you can't stamp it in exactly the same spot, you've ruined your image. So that's why I love this tool so much. It's called the Misty. And there you go. Look at that image. Isn't it beautiful? Very crisp and sharp and detailed. I'm wiping off the stamp, because what I want to do next before I begin coloring is I tend to take an envelope, and I like to match my envelopes to my cards. And so I'm going to grab an envelope right here, and I'm going to put the stamp right here on the edge of the envelope, and we're going to stamp the envelope and have it ready. So there you go with that one. And that one I didn't do quite as good. Sometimes that happens when I get in a hurry. Apply a little bit of pressure. Voila, there you go. Alright, I'm not going to make you watch me stamp another envelope. I can do that later. So I'm going to move this image. And now what we're going to do is set aside the Misty, and we're going to color the image that we just stamped. As soon as I can find the lid to my ink and move it out of the way. Now, what I told you I colored with my Copic markers. See, here's all my markers. Yep. And I'm probably going to go real generic with this one, because if I knew the people that were getting married, and if I knew what their colors, wedding colors were, I might try to coordinate that. So that's an FYI for you. If you have someone in your life that you want a wedding card for, and you want it to be customized to the wedding colors that they have, then I can certainly do that. It's just a matter of you letting me know what those are, and I will try to accommodate. But for just selling in the market, when I don't know what the wedding colors are, I try to just pretty much go very generic. The typical black and white is what I do. And I don't know that I want to actually have you watch me color the whole image, because that would take a little while to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to pause the video and finish coloring it, so that we're not wasting time you watching me color. And I'll show you what the next step is. All right, so hold on while I pause this, and I'll come back to you. So here we are. I quickly colored, I say quickly, I try not to color it too quickly, because when you get in too big a hurry you mess up. But I wanted to show you how I add a little bit of, do you see on here the girl's wedding veil? And what I like to do is use this right here that's called Wink of Stella, and it's a brush. Whoops, I wasn't supposed to unbrush it. I was supposed to pull the lid off. I always forget. What this does is going to give it a little bit of shimmer, so you can tell, because veils are always see-through, right? Do you see how that's? And I'm putting it all along her back where the veil is. I hope I got enough of this, because I'm about to run out of it. So I actually, I didn't mean to get it on his suit tux. I didn't need to do it right there. I just needed to, well, yeah, I did too. Part of it. See, I'm even confusing myself. I'm going to pretend that his arms, well, they are underneath. You can tell they're underneath. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover the whole thing like his arms are underneath the veil. I don't know if you can really see that or not, but can you kind of see how it's shimmering a little bit? It may not show up very good on the video. I can't tell by looking at it, but anyway, in person you will be able to tell. Most definitely. And it's kind of cool because it gives it a little bit of dimension too. Isn't that cool? Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut this out. I don't do this on all of my images, but I do it on a lot of them. And I try not to do it on all of them because it takes time to do it. I don't know what I've done to my scissors, but they feel a little sticky. So let's see if we can fix that. Oh, I do too know what I did. I shouldn't have done that, whatever it was I did. Maybe that helped. I have another pair of scissors, but you can see the difference. And when I'm doing work like this, I much prefer these smaller scissors to work with. It's easier to cut intricately than with a big pair of scissors. I know some women that just use the big scissors and it works just fine, but for me, not so much. And I try to get close, as you can see. Sometimes I don't do so good. I'm not used to having someone watch me as I'm cutting. And then I don't know if you can see it, but you see right there where I kind of got outside the lines. When you're cutting it out, it really doesn't matter if you go outside the lines because you can just cut it off. See, you're learning all my tricks of the trade. Now you're going to be scrutinizing my cards, right? Please say that's not so. Sometimes I like to leave just a little bit of white around the image. A lot of times you're not even aware that it's there. Now some of my images are not quite this easy to cut out. This one's fairly not quite as complicated as some of them, and I try, like I say, I try not to do that real often just because it's very time consuming. We in the crafting world call this fussy cutting because it makes us fuss when we cut it out. So there you have it, a little image, and I got out some paper. Let's see if I can find where I put, oh yes I did. And I decided, I pre-planned so you wouldn't have to wait for me to watch. I picked out this paper to use as the background. And what we're going to do is just, my way of card making is using lots of layers. You know what? I don't have any black cut, so hold on just a second while I cut some black. Okay, so for the sake of time, I cut out, I didn't cut all of them, I just cut part of them. And this is what I do. I like to layer. There's something about layering that just to me makes the card look better. And it's sometimes you may hear the word matting. I'm matting the paper. I do that with photos. When I'm scrapbooking, I tend to call this I mat the picture. In card making, I just what did I just say? Doesn't matter. Anyway, I layer it. That's the word I was using. So I'm just putting a black background just to kind of make the printed paper stand out a little bit. And then this is the adhesive I use. This is what's called an ATG gun, Advanced Tape Glider, ATG. As you can see, it's made by Scotch, and there's a big roll of adhesive in there, and I use lots of adhesive. And so I just put it on here like so. Just on the edges of the paper. I don't do the entire paper. And then I basically line it up like that. And so now I have my background. And here's my image, and it's almost getting lost in the paper, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is I will take some foam tape, and that's what this is, foam tape. This is any of my images, any of my cards where it has a little bit of dimension to it. I use this. It's very thin. It's thin enough that if I put this on the back of this image and put on this card, you can still mail this card. It will go through the mail. I don't like real bumpy cards that have lots of stuff on them. They're really pretty, but they're not practical for sending in the mail, and I think that cards should be mail friendly, unless the only cards you're going to make are to deliver to people that you know locally and you can hand deliver them. So what I do is I turn the image over and I apply the tape, cut off how much I want, and just because there's a little bit more space here, I'm probably going to add just a little more, make me feel a little bit better. And I'm going to add just a little to this side. Now, when I put this image on here, you can see it a little bit better. And when I actually put it on there, sorry, I was going the wrong direction. I don't know if you can, there you go. You can kind of see where there's a little bit of dimension to it, but not a lot. And I'm still not sure I'm real happy with that. There seems to be more white. And so I might even go back and do this. I know I cut the image out, but I'm not liking how that's turning out. So what I may do is come back here with this black background, and I will cut it straight. I won't cut it around the image. But I'm thinking I'm going to be a little happier with that, because the people are getting lost in the pattern of the paper, and I don't like that. That's not okay for me. So let me see what I'm going to do here. Okay, so see, you're watching creativity in the process. I didn't think it out completely, and that's okay. We're going to make it work. Now, one of the other favorite tools of mine that I have is called a personal mini trimmer. This one, they're made by all kinds of companies. This one happens to be made by Creative Memories, and the first one that I've got. Should this one ever falter on me, I may buy a different brand. I'm not sure, but this one I've had for, oh my, I've had this at least 20 years. Anyway, what I'll do is I'm just going to line this paper up here and cut this out, because I don't trust myself to cut straight with my scissors. So when I want, all right, looky there. Let's see, I like that much better, don't you? All right, now what I didn't think about was what sentiment or verse I wanted to use. Let me see what we have over here. Here's my other image. I'm going to put this one back in here where it goes. I can use just about anything. I can use blessings on your special day, or I can use to have and to hold. I'm not going to do the ring. Well, I could do with this ring, or to the happy couple. What shall I do? Oh, this is what I'll do. Okay, see, think you're watching the creative process. I'm going to put to the happy couple on the front, and I'm going to put blessings on your special day, blessings on your special day on the inside. How about that? I think I like that best. Okay, where is to the happy couple? There it is. Hello. That's why I say it's kind of hard to read these when they're, because I don't know if you noticed it. When you look at this stamp, can you see it's written backwards? And I can't always read backwards. I have to really think sometimes. It really task me to think that through. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp that little verse that says to have and to hold. No, to the happy couple. Sorry, said the wrong thing. All right, we're going to put it in my little stamper here. And these magnets just help to hold the paper in place. I don't know that I explained that a while ago, but I guess you probably could tell that's what was happening. I'm going to try to put this on as straight as I can. And let the lid pick this up. If you notice though, I don't know if you can see it on the video. Yeah, you can. There are grid lines, so there's lines to be able to line it up. I actually got it on there pretty straight, so I think I'm going to go with that. You know, when I'm in doubt and I'm not sure, it looks straight, but I'm not sure it's straight, and I'm not going to want to stamp it again. I'll show you a little trick that I do. Do you see this? This is a little transparency. Just, it came in something packaged, and I figured out that I can wipe my ink off of it if I want to do a trial run. So looky here. Oh, my magnet's going to be in the way. Here we go. It's pretty straight, but I'm thinking it's going uphill just a hair. So look at this. See how that wipes right off of there? It's magic. Okay, I'm going to move that just a hair. You can't tell I'm a perfectionist, can you? Let's see if I like this one better. I think I can live with that, can you? Alright, I don't know why I wiped that off. I'm such a habit of doing it that I didn't need to. I needed to wipe this off. Okay. Alright, so we're going to move this little plastic thing out of the way, but I don't want the paper to move, so I'm going to put that back down. I'm going to set that aside. See if it'll still clear. Okay, and now we're going to stamp it. Looky there. Now, I'm debating whether I want to heat emboss that. Why not? You guys might want to see that, huh? So let's heat emboss it as well. And in order to make sure, sometimes that black ink is sticky enough to use to heat emboss with, and sometimes it's not. But I do have an ink that is used. It's called Versamark. And what it does is it actually, I know, don't look at that gross pad. It still works. It actually is not really a colored ink. It's just a ink that is sticky to help hold the powder on the words. So we're going to stamp right over the top of it. And we're going to put that aside. And then we're going to do, move this, move the Misty. Yeah, see, you're always shuffling things around, always. Okay, and then I'm going to get out my clear. This is clear, and this is embossing powder. See, it's a real fine embossing powder. Fine grab hold of it, and you just sprinkle it on like this. Now, can you might not be able to tell, but yeah, I think you can tell. You know what? It still doesn't look very straight, but that's okay. We're going to fix it. We'll move the powder aside, and now we're going to get out the heat gun and heat that, and then you'll be able to tell the difference. This is my heat gun. It's going to be noisy for just a little bit, but watch the magic happen. My grandkids love this. As it heats up, you'll begin to see the powder melt and how the letters are starting to turn more black and shiny. This is why I like embossing so much, because it really makes the verse stand out. Okay. There we go. Can you see that? Bring it up a little closer. I don't know if it's going to focus very good for you. Yeah. All right. Well, never mind. Okay. Now, this is really on. This is too big a piece of paper. I don't want to do it this big, so I'm going to cut it down a little bit. And so that's what I use my little trimmer for. Trimmer, that's what I call it. Not mini cutter. Call it a trimmer. And I'm going to line it up like that. Try to get it as straight as I can. Sometimes I don't always, and that's okay too. None of us are perfect, even though we may try. And then I'm going to cut this one down just a little bit. You can tell I'm pushing down to hold onto the paper because it's right underneath this guide. All right, we're going to do this side. We're going to do this side. All right, so see, there we have our little sentiment. And what I think I will do, this is just what I'm thinking. I first thought I might stick it right here to the happy couple, but I don't like, okay, so here's my dilemma. I've got a black background here, so if I layer this with black, is it going to get lost? I don't know. Let's just try it and see. Is this wide enough? This might work. Yeah, it's not quite wide enough. Although I think I like that pretty good. I think I may just go with it. Unless I've got a scrap. And I've always got scraps. I always have scraps. If I have a piece of black paper that's a little bit wider. But I still think I may go with it because I think that may work. Alright, I'm just going to go with it. So, it's a little tricky using this big old gun for such a little piece. But we're going to make it work. Like I say, you're seeing me right in raw reality here. Alright. Just barely any black showing. But a little bit. We'll cut off this end because I don't even trust myself to cut straight something that little. Alright, so I think I'm going to do that like that. What do you think? Think that'll work? Okay. So we've got to put a little adhesive on the back of this to make it stick to the paper. Card front, as I call it. So we're going to do that like this. And then we're going to, and I'm not, it would be my tendency to want to put that foam tape on this, but I've already got a layer, and so if I put another layer on top of it, that will make it too thick to go through the post office without hand stamping. And we don't want to do hand stamping because it costs more to do that. So we're going to, you know what I just noticed? Did you notice it? I needed to cut this off right here, and I didn't notice that. You're watching me fix a blender right here. You know what? I'm just going to take that all the way down to the bottom. Watch me go. Ha 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 ha. Look at me. I fixed it. Okay, so here we go to the happy couple. I'm going to pull this up because I really didn't need to go all the way to the end with my sticky. So we're going to fix that so it doesn't do that. And that's easy enough to do. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now all we need is a card base. And these card bases are made out of 8.5 by 11 paper, so I get this very sturdy cardstock. This is, I want my cards to be quality. One thing I despise when I buy a card is, like for instance this one, see how flimsy this is? I do not like that. It doesn't speak of quality to me, and so I wanted my cards to be quality, and so I buy, I think it's 110-pound cardstock that I buy from a local printer. He buys me a ream at a time, and then I cut the paper myself and fold it. I'm not going to do that today. That might be for another video. And so then I line it up, and for some reason, and that happens sometimes, you see how there's a little white line, and that annoys me. I either, because I use a guillotine paper cutter, sometimes it cuts straight, or maybe I just mismeasured when I tried to cut it. And so, or I might have even not cut the card base exactly the right. Whatever the case, the card front is a little bit larger than the card. But all I simply do is I place it on there, and then I just cut off the edge to make it fit. So here we are. We're going to put adhesive on the card front. We're going to line it up. And we're going to line it up with the bottom and the side because it's easier for me to cut it, the excess off from this angle. And I'll show you how to do that. I just take the scissors and just cut along the line like that. And there's the bottom. Voila, it's all fixed. Okay, now we need to put the sentiment inside. So we're going to do that real quick, and then we will have us a card. So I place the card in the MISTI once again. And we were going to use Blessings on Your Special Day. So I'm lining that up about where I think it should be. If I'm not sure, I can look at it to see. See, look, I don't know if you can, no, you can't see that. See how crooked that is? It looked like it was straight on the card, but it's not, so I'm going to fix it. See, it looks crooked there, doesn't it? But you're not seeing the words, and so just to make myself feel better, we're going to use the cheater again. Because, well, even when I make cards for people personally that I give to personally and that I know, I don't want the sentiment to be crooked, but I really don't want it to be crooked when I'm selling my cards. So I want to make sure that it's straight. Okay. Does that look straight? It looks straight to me. So I think I'm going to go with that. So we'll wipe this off with our little wet rag. And this is just a rag, I think, or a cloth that I bought at Walmart I actually think I got it out of the automotive department. It's just a cleaning cloth. And I keep it wet and wipe off my stamps as needed. Okay, I'm going to ink it one more time because we lost some of the ink whenever we stamped it on the transparency. So, here we go. There you go. Blessings on your special day. Looky there. We have a card. Now, it's not quite finished. You know why? Because I still need to add, and this I stamp without the MISTI because I stamp my logo stamp. Well, it's not really a logo. It just says, well, you're fixing to see what it says because I'm going to stamp it for you. But I put this on every card I make. Handcrafted by Valerie Light, lightinmypathway.com. And then, because this is a stamp that was created by an artist who protects her art, but she sold her art to a company called Unity, and they sell rubber stamps. And so in order for me to sell this card, I have to put on here that this artist used a Unity stamp. So there you go. Now you have a finished card. Look at you. And that's all there is to it. Now, let me see if I can turn, well, I can't turn it around, but I can put it up where you can see me, I hope. I don't know if you can see me or not. So anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you want more like that, then let me know, and I will